Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. It looks like we're live. I would love to sing Welcome Back, Cotter all day because it's the best song ever written. If you're not familiar with Welcome Back, Cotter, it had the best intro song. The show came out in the 70s, The Sweat Hogs, John Travolta's very first show, I believe. Wonderful show. But the song, Welcome Back, your dreams were your ticket out. I'm guessing they were in the Bronx at a high school, and the song is really saying that, your dreams are really the transitional way that you go from this world to the new world being your new reality. That's how that works. We dream it, then we become it. But where do we dream it? We can daydream in our waking reality, and we can night dream in our sleeping reality. We're still dreaming in either place. And in either place, like imagining lovingly at a stoplight or whatever I'm doing with that, like I've described many times, it's still a version of what is called the fourth dimension. Let's look at the dimensions in an order just for the fun of it. This is the funnest way to break it down. The second dimension, as when you look at a set of drawings, like architectural drawings, you see the house footprint, or you see the elevation, which is the view from the side, like the picture of it, or you see down from above, you see a bird's eye view. That's two-dimensional drawings. Now, even if the picture itself is an elevation and it's in 3 dimensions, on the paper it's still 2 dimensions. So when you have the sun cast light on you as you're walking, and what's on the ground is the second dimensional image. That's 2D. So what's happening when the sun hits you, the 3-dimensional figure, the shadow is cast right onto the ground in 2D. So you're a 3D figure walking along in your 3D world, and from you becomes a second dimension onto the ground from the sun's light. Or you put your hand in front of a light, you see the shadow, that's the second dimensional image from the 3rd dimensional image. They're directly related to each other. They cannot be changed. The shadow does not have a mind of its own. I think I saw a movie one time where the shadow was moving on its own, but some kind of fantasy movie. But the shadow is an exact replica of your 3-dimensional image as you're in the light. Now, what is the 3-dimensional image a shadow of? Again, this is the funnest way to see this whole thing. The shadow, known as your 3-dimensional image, is a perfect replica of your 4D self. So speaking 4th dimensionally, that's where everything is created, because if your 4th dimensional image is casting a 3D shadow, then your 3D image is casting a 2D shadow. They're literally 1, 2, 3. 1 being the beginning where things are moved in consciousness. That's the 4th dimension. That's in here when your eyes are closed, or your dreams are your ticket out. Your dreams are in the 4th dimension. As Neville says many times, the 4th dimension is reality. When you make something move in 4D, you're making it not only real in reality, but that is the reality. That's consciousness. All there is consciousness, as Neville says millions of times. Everything is consciousness. Well, where does it start? It starts in the 4th dimension, which is consciousness. If you want to relate that back to he made us in his image so that he would become us, and then that we would wake up and remember we are him eventually. This is the goal here. But that's happening in the 4D, 4th dimension. That's where reality is. So the beginning is the fourth dimension. You want to keep it back to this. The beginning is the 4th dimension. That's where you start. Any kind of dream you have, any kind of daydream you have, or night dream, this is where that's happening. Now you have a new state you want to occupy. You're doing that as you fall to sleep in sats. You're doing that in the 4th dimension. That is what casts a shadow and becomes your 3D experience. Where you do it and make the change is in the 4th dimension. Unconscious, or your sleeping or your dreaming self. It's usually called the subconscious. It's called your dreaming self. It's called the unconscious. all kinds of wonderful names for it. That's not the important point. The important point is it's on the inside. It's not on the outside when these are open. Once you open these, you're immediately looking at a shadow. You're looking at an echo, an after effect of what you created inside in the fourth dimension. So this jump in understanding is a very important one. It's important if you want to take these ideas that Neville's giving us, and that I constantly talk about the Seth material. I'm going to be making some separate videos on that. I'm going to do a video on the books alone, which are amazing. Then I'll try and break down as I go what I remember of the books. Again, I used to teach the subject. It's a wonderful subject. That whole body of work is focused on the same thing we're talking about when we bring up the phrase fourth dimensionally. Thinking fourth dimensionally. Seth is constantly going on and on and on about the subject ad nauseum, ad infinitum, ad forever. He is literally a great teacher, just like Neville. They're like two peas in the same pod, basically. That body of work is doing the same thing, trying to get us to come back here, like Neville does, and come back into Sats, come back into our meditation, come back into our taking a nap, and convincing that inner self, the fourth dimensional self, about the change we want. And then we open our eyes and we see that starts to grow in our reality. Our garden starts to grow the fruit of the state we are occupying. That's how that starts. Then in 3D, when your eyes are open, the thing you have to reflect, the idea that's a constant reminder, is your shadow on the ground. I'm saying ground, let's say you're walking outside and the sun's shining on you. Wherever your shadow is cast, that's a reminder to yourself that there's two things happening. Your 3D image is casting a shadow that's an exact replica. This is a reminder of what's happening on the inner level, because your 3D self is an exact shadow and replica and echo of your inner self, your fourth dimensional self. So I want to make sure we kind of define those terms as we move forward here. Tariq Ismail, hi Gilbert, hello back to you, Tariq. Nice to see you. Beautiful B, love, good morning back to you. It's a wonderful morning. Imaginarium, gym for your mind, aloha, aloha back, and mahalo for stopping by. So, fourth dimensionally, there was a idea when you go into Sats and there's this whole part of being third person, visualize it. A lot of people say they can't visualize, myself included when I started this, when I started to understand Sats. I started to see myself from third person. So if in my example yesterday about riding a bike and revising it, if I see myself from the side riding the bike by, that's third person. That's not first person. So the idea of embodiment is to see ourselves where I can see my handlebars, I can see my arms. Instead of seeing myself ride by on a bike, in that revision I talked about yesterday in day 2, I'm now looking at myself, looking at my arms. So if I know I'm looking at my arms and I'm in my meditation or I'm in my Sats, then I know I'm first person. Now this is called embodying it. Or if you want to imagine driving the new car, instead of that 1986 Yugo, you don't want to imagine that anymore. And you want to imagine now you're driving your 2025 Ferrari. You need to see, first off, get a picture of the inside of that car online, know what it looks like, and then start to see your arms on the wheel, whether it's a flipper shifting or if it's down here. I don't know what it is. I'm not aware. But whatever car it is you want to drive, you must see it in first person in your Sats level. So when you're driving that car, you feel the comforts, you hear the radio, you smell the new car smell, you're driving it out of your driveway, you got it in reverse, you're checking things out, or you're looking at your camera because it's a new car, obviously. Sensors everywhere, so you know nothing's coming. You back out slowly. Now you put it in drive and you come on down your street. Now you're looking in your Sats mode. Notice my eyes are closed this whole time. This whole time I'm in my fourth dimension. So now what level to the street are you? If you're in that Ferrari, you're way down here. You're looking down at the sides of doors. But if you're in that new truck, you're up here. You're looking at the tops of the cars. You're pretty much looking at the roofs of all the passenger cars on your street. You're doing this in fourth dimension, where Neville says this is reality. Now I'm driving my car down the street. Your new car. This is you. You see your arms. These are closed. Your imaginary arms on the imaginary steering wheel, the imaginary year of the car, the model of the car, all of that's to your taste, your color, all those details, but you see and feel yourself driving down the street. You're coming down to the end of the block. You can feel it. Now, the reason Neville says, pick a scene and go through it, just like he did when he went on that gangplank up to the boat, when he wanted to go with his wife and his daughter back from Barbados back to New York, when he didn't have any tickets during a crazy time when the enemies were sinking ships. Like, I think the U-boats were sinking merchant ships at the time. He had to visualize, and he said, go to the top of it. Or if you drift while you're falling asleep and your imagination is starting to drift because you're in the fourth dimension, you're crossing that dimension with the third dimension, because that's what SATS does. But he says, Neville says, pick a scene. So he says, if you're going up the ladder, like in his example, and you drift, come back down to the bottom of the ladder. So if it's a car you're manifesting, just for the fun of conversation, let's keep that example. If I'm in my vehicle with a Ferrari, your truck, your passenger car, whatever kind of car is your new car, You've started it remotely. It's already warmed up and air conditioned. It's a hot day already. So the car's cooled off. You get out there. You don't even have to use a key anymore because it opens automatically. You're inside the car. Now you feel the comfort of it. You smell the new car smell. Cameras everywhere on the thing. You know it's safe to pull out. Got your car in reverse. This is your scene. You back out, put it in drive, turn, go down the street. Now you're driving down the street. Get to the end of the block. You can make a left or a right. So you decide, you wait, you look around, everything's cool. You make your left and you go drive it to the stop sign, then another stop sign. You go out into traffic on the main boulevard. If any time during that practice you drift somewhere else, pull it back to the driveway. Pull it back to you already remote started it. You're coming out. Things already air conditioned. It's a hot day. Start it again. Neville says, have that 30-second scene, or approximately. He said 30 seconds, I believe. Keep it something simple like that. If I leave my seatbelt off, it's on certain cars, it nags the heck out of you whenever the car is moving. Certain cars, it nags the heck out of you after a minute. So you can throw all these things in there. You have sounds in that car. There's new car smells coming into your nose. You got your arms. You can see your arms. It's only natural because you see them all the time whenever you're doing something. So this is all fourth dimension. As Neville says, that's where reality is constructed. So what's going to echo in the third dimension, remember, fourth dimension is where it starts, the reality begins. The third dimension is the echo or the reflection of whatever happens in 4D. And whatever the sun shines in that 3D world, that's going to cast a 2D shadow on the ground. This is where the beginning is in fourth dimension. So always come back to the driveway, or whatever the beginning of your imagining is. If it's in the kitchen or whatever, you're remote starting it and you hear it start, then you know it's doing its thing, it's cooling off, or it's warming up, whatever time of year you're in. The first person embodiment is what we're talking about. In this example, in this scene, we're in the fourth dimension, but it's first person embodiment. This is you in the imaginary scene, looking at it, first person, seeing your arms in the imagination, your imaginary arms. And if your imagining is about being married, you don't go get a ring and put it on your finger. You imagine a ring on your imaginary finger. As you're falling asleep, you're touching your imaginary ring if that's your manifestation. The car is one manifestation. Now, what comes with the ring is a marriage. What comes with the car is the fact that it's paid off and the abundant life. There's these pieces that come in and click together that are insinuating, implying, and it's already done. You're driving the brand new 2025 Ferrari, there's a lot that backs that up. If you're in the Ferrari and you're coming out of your driveway, something got you the Ferrari. I wonder what that was. Well, it was a bridge of incidents. Well, what does the bridge of incidents look like? It doesn't matter. The end, the imagination scene, is fourth dimensional. It's the embodiment of the experience. Very, very important word here, the experience of it. Imagination is where you're experiencing it. There's no way Neville could have got passage on that boat had he not experienced going up that plank or that ladder or whatever you want to call it to get on that boat. It turns out his brother was carrying his daughter up the ladder, whatever you call it, the stairs up to the top of the boat from the dock down below. I guess he took a tender out to that dock, and then they went up the ladder. So he went to the end, which is boarding the boat. Now, boarding that boat implies, yes, he got passage. Yes, he got tickets. Yes, they have a stateroom. Yes, they're in first class. Everything's included in getting to the top of that boat and actually boarding it. You're driving that brand new 2025 or 2026, whatever. That already includes everything that brought it. What brought it? Because it's paid for. You bought it. You don't need to be concerned with the how as much as the construction, the embodiment of the imagination. You're imagining it. You drift. All of a sudden you're skiing or you're mountain climbing or you're flying in a dream. Come back. This is where the discipline comes in. This is where you have to step back in and go, wait, I'm drifting. And I was talking to somebody, and, you know, I wouldn't hold something like this in your hands. This is a tape measure. This is pretty heavy. Can you imagine trying to fall asleep holding a tape? So if I'm laying back and I have something like a tennis ball, something, or my cell phone, anything, if you're holding something and you start to drift and you're in sats, you're trying to embody your experience, you pulled out in the car, you're going down the street, you just put it in drive, before you know it, you're drifting, and all of a sudden your hand drops the item, your phone or a ball. Like tennis ball is nice and harmless. I wouldn't use a baseball or softball, they're pretty big. But something nice and light like that, it doesn't matter what it is, but put it in your hand, and then it reminds you, because it'll fall. And I've done this with my cell phone, and it'll fall, and it'll that one little bit right there, you're definitely in sats, and you're in between the third dimension and fourth dimension. But when you drop the phone or the tennis ball, when it drops, that's when you're actually in the fourth dimension, to the point where you're not coming back to the third dimension. But the dropping of it alerts you to that you're at that bridge. You're at the point where you're going to be asleep. You're going to be gone, and you won't be able to pull yourself back to the beginning of your imagination, of your scene that you're imagining to be real. So as it drops, it reminds you, whoa, okay, let me go back, remote start the car, reset my phone in my hand. Okay, I'm still awake, I'm in sats. Now I'm back in the car, it's starting, it's cool, I open the door. Whatever your scene is, 30 seconds, put 30 seconds together, get in that scene. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm using a car for fun right here. It could be being married. It could be you're at the doctor and you're getting this wonderful new good news about your blood tests because they're awesome. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're checking in on health, you're walking into the you're walking out of the doctor's office and he's already told you all the good news. Oh my God, numbers, everything's in the green. All these blood test results, you're good to go. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. That's what the doctor says to you. And you're walking out feeling pretty good. You're going to go get a burger and french fries. Just kidding. Whatever you believe to be health for you, whatever that means, and what got you the good test results, it doesn't even matter. You heard the doctor say your results are perfect and you're good to go. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what you eat or drink. Nothing else matters except for what you heard when you're walking out of that doctor's office. And that's your scene. Going over the results. Amazing, amazing, amazing. He can't believe it. You can't believe it. Everything's good. This is health. The other one's walking back in from your honeymoon. All these departments are the most important departments. Abundance is the new car because you paid cash. All right? You have walking into your house from the honeymoon. You just got married in Hawaii, preferably Kauai, and you are walking into your new house. Your husband's carrying you or you're carrying her. Does it matter? You're going across the threshold. It's all new. It's all paid for. You got abundance mixed in with love. You might be single and wanting that scene. It doesn't matter. All that brought that to bear happened. You're at the end and crossing the threshold of your new state. So we want to take our fourth dimensional self into the new state of occupation, where we're going to occupy this new state. And we're going to kill the old man by forgetting about the old man. The old man's your old self. Tanya Flowers, great live. Thanks for the info. Sats, absolutely thumbs up. Use a spoon like Tesla. I wasn't aware Tesla used a spoon. That's very interesting. A spoon is simple too. I like that idea, Tanya. Thank you for that. Silverware, spoon. Tesla is a very good example of all of this work of Neville's and what Seth dictated in his books. I read Tesla. One of the first books my teacher handed me to read was I forget the name of it, but it's the most famous one. His friend wrote it about him. Mind-blowing things. I love the idea that in his experience of dreams, he would come out of a dream with all the specs of a motor and not change one thing. He dreamt the stuff real. And we're still using the same technology to power our elevators and at power plants and electricities and generating power. It's the same exact technology Tesla dreamt is still being used. There's been no advancement because it works. It works well. Wedding at our retreat space on the Big Island. There you go. If you have a retreat space, Jerry, that's awesome. Wonderful. On the Big Island, too. I haven't been to the Big Island yet. I hope to. I just had some pictures come to me from my buddy Gilbert, and when he lived in Waipahu, of us hanging out. And this would be 94. We were actually there when the news came across that the singer for Nirvana was gone. And we were coming back to his house, and we had to stop the car because, you know, that was in a time when music was a very big part of our reality. And that was a shocker for sure, because we had just saw him at the Forum in L.A. And then in April, I think April was when he left the party. But it was kind of a weird time. But that was my last time in Hawaii before being married. That was 94, April-ish. Then it would be, because we always went in the spring, then it would be 99 when I went back and got married on Kauai. But yeah, awesome. So, taking that fourth dimensional image, eyes are closed. This might be the hardest part of all this work, is getting used to closing these. These give us a lot to lean on, but we have to realize that we're looking at an echo, a reflection. We're looking at an after effect. Everything is you pushed out. So where did it start? It all starts in the fourth dimension, which is in here. On the inside, the best way to get there is close your eyes. Go in your closet and close the door. Take a couple deep breaths. And just chill out. This is the immediate access of your fourth dimensional self. And you can do this consciously. My eyes are closed right now. I'm with my fourth dimensional self right now, live with you. You don't have to do cartwheels. There's no yoga poses necessary. You didn't have to take any medicines. There's nothing necessary except for just closing these. Just calming it down. Now you can ask questions. You can get answers. You can imagine the new and kill the old. Okay, so Imaginarium. In imagination right now, we found a place to buy outside our current 3D budget. Nice. So you're going to put some imaginings together. We found a place to buy outside our current 3D budget. Now, I don't know if you mean under or you mean over. Typically, we want more in reality, so that probably means over. So now we got to go to the end. Your level's here. You go here in your imagination, where this is the reality. You keep seeing the scene over and over. In that imagining where I'm in the car and I'm touching the steering wheel, this is the most important part. And if that clip came out last weekend, I think it was last weekend, where they had the real estate where they wanted to buy the house on Kings Road, and the wife imagined her husband. I think she was on the top. Yeah, she was upstairs looking over this, like a mezzanine type of thing, looking over where he was standing at a fireplace, and he was, I think, lighting a pipe. I might be mixing stories. There's a lot of stories. She had her hand on the rail in that imagining. So when she went and they went home, I believe she was imagining that they were in the house and she was touching the rail. The touching aspect is one of the most important parts of all of this. When you're in SATS and you're driving the car, you know you're touching that wheel. And any SATS you want to create an experience in, that then your 3D echoes that, there has to be touch involved. There's all kinds of words for it. Western gate method. The touch is the part that where we, as Neville says, are the weakest. And that's the part where we have to develop the most, which is like our feeling, to feel it real. This is where we are probably the most keyed low, where we have to bring it into being as humans, as our nature. But we realize that from Neville, that everybody who did it in his lectures and in his classes and all the successes that they found, we know it works. So we have to go step by step here and get through this a certain step at a time. And touching has a lot to do with it in your imaginal scene. When I'm imagining somebody, and if they're holding up a sign that says anything will do, anything will help, or whatever it says, I'm always in those imagination scenes while I'm at the traffic light, always high-fiving, hugging. Hugging's becoming more paramount than high-fiving, but I like high-fiving because it's very celebratory. I'm not a big sports fan, so I never got into high-fiving per se. I don't watch football on the weekends. I'm sorry, anybody who's a football fan, but it just wasn't my thing. But when I got into Neville, I realized the touching aspect was very, very strong. So in my imagination, I high-five a lot. It's just because I didn't do it before. So it's like, okay, weave it in. So that's how I include touch. Touch is a very important aspect. Imaginarium. The retreat space I'm imagining driving my new car, leaving the driveway of our place. Perfect. Yes. I love it. Keep it. Arms. Touch the wheel. They used to have, cars of old used to have a lighter, and you pushed it in. You pushed in the lighter. That's how you lit your cigarette. No car has a lighter anymore, much less an ashtray. Boy, times have changed. It's a funny thing. Those little aspects in the car, include them in your imagining. Now, for me, I want to drive a 66 Chevelle Malibu. It's the year I'm born. So I'm like, okay, and I see some beautiful ones around here, man, all the time. Convertibles, white convertibles, black convertibles. The top is white or black. The colors are beautiful, well-maintained, perfect stock condition. There's a guy down the street here. He has his garage open sometimes. He has two of them, two 66s. Sometimes I drive by and I catch that door open. I'm like, man, oh, man. That's what I imagine. So I imagine that. I imagine hitting that little button on the floor. It turns on the brights. There's a little switch you put your foot on and turn on the brights. If anybody remembers those old cars, they were fun. But I used to have a 67 Malibu, but a 66 would be ideal. So yes, all those little things inside the new car you're in, Imaginarium, to just press those buttons. Whatever it is. The new car smell. The smell and the sight are huge parts of your imagining. But you can also hear, what do you have playing? Now here in Long Beach, we have a station called, I don't even know the name of it. I put it on only because there's no commercials. And it's jazz all the time. And the weekend there's blues. And it's called, I can't even tell you the call sign. It comes out of Cal State Long Beach. It's the only jazz. But I play that only because there's no commercials. Specifically, and it's nice and mellow. If I'm not listening to Neville, if it's my wife and I, then I put that on because then I have something that's kind of just chill. But that's another element. What are you hearing while you're driving? What are you smelling? This is all in the fourth dimension. In that imagining, there's got to be a handshake. There could be touching a check you received in the mail. There could be anything. When you open that car in your imagination, does it make a beep? All these little elements are part of your scene that, as Neville says, you're going to repeat and repeat until it feels natural. Once it feels natural, you've crossed. You've crossed into the fourth dimensional self where the reality is real because it feels real. It feels natural. This is one of the biggest parts I think that is overlooked when we're trying SATs, especially for the first time, is what's real, what does natural feel like? What does it mean to feel natural? Well, what did you do this morning? Did you eat breakfast? Did you go to the store? What did you do? Did you drop some kids off at school? After the experience, whatever you did, it feels natural that you did it. So you can look back on the experience and go, oh yeah, I just did that, so no big deal. Well, it feels natural. I had to do that. I did my duty. I did this. I did that. But you take it for granted that the natural feeling of it is a real thing. It's a thing inside of you. That natural feeling of having an experience in the morning is the same way you would feel if you're driving your car down the street, your new car, out of your new resort space. It's the same exact thing. So this whole piece of SATS, this whole four-dimensional experience is about getting the reminder from our 3D and bringing it back into our 4D and then just changing the channel. We're literally like, I'm doing an old TV change here. You had to get up, there's no remote yet, and you had to change your channel. You're changing the channel literally because you're going to the new experience. And we did this as kids naturally. We're still doing it anyway. The only thing we're doing here together is reminding ourselves how we're doing it. We're already doing this all the time, consistently. You're already a perfect creator of your reality. It's this togetherness that we're bringing together in this conversation is how does it work? So we're only talking about what it is we're already doing. If you're getting your bills and you're imagining them paid and there's no worries, that's one way to look at it. If you're getting your bills and you're like worried about how am I going to pay them, that's a different way to look at it. Either one is available to you. If other people are doing it this way, there's no reason you can't. So you have to sometimes force the feeling, oh yeah, I got all this. This is easy. This is a no-brainer. I got this. I've always been able to pay off everything well in advance. All my bills, all of our cars, all of our property. We're always well paid off in advance. Our business is booming. Constant, if you're self-employed, constant. It's that creating of a belief that pushes it. The beauty of what we're talking about is we're already doing it. That's why you're exactly where you are. You couldn't be where you are if you weren't already doing it. That is, using the law of assumption. Using the law of assumption to form beliefs. You have the beliefs already now. How did you get to those? Those beliefs of where you are specific. How did you form them? If you don't like where they brought you, hey, I have the freedom to change them. Like me changing that intersection belief, which I find it to be so amazing now. I just go that way sometimes just to prove to myself. It doesn't matter how long I'll stay at a stop sign before that intersection, or if I go slow, if I go fast. When I get there, it's my turn. Every single time now. I played with a belief concept, brought it into a structure. I did it in 4D. Now I'm doing it in experience. The world's reflecting back what I created as a belief. The world's reflecting back. The 3D is reflecting the 4D. I created it here. Then the experience at the stop sign is 3D. It's the actual happening because I already created it here. I already see every time I come to that intersection, it's my turn. That's in here, in the fourth dimension. So when I get there, it's my turn. Okay, Tariq, new car would also have a new fresh smell. Correct. And that's, Tariq, that's a very good point. We have a new car and it's already 2 years old and it still has a new car smell. People get in it and it's got the new car smell and we love it. I don't know how they made it that possible to last that long, but it's literally 2 years old. October will be 2 years old. The next month, a month from today, actually, it'll be 2 years old and it still has that new car smell. So in your new car, you got the smell, you got the feeling of the wheel, you see your arms, you got the sound. I got the jazz station on, whatever you got on, you got your Spotify, whatever. Something's hitting all the senses. This is the point. And your imagining is your visual of it. You're imagining. Most important one is touch. So you can feel that wheel. If you need to go to the dealer and look inside that specific car, go for it. See it. Go to the dealer and go, wow. And then go touch the wheel. And then memorize that. Go touch the wheel. Memorize how that felt in your hand. Then now you have the example. So now when you go home, you got the example of how that wheel felt. You can go up to the dealer and you could touch the car, touch the outside. The paint always feels like glossy and go take a test drive. There was a guy, his name is Dan Pena. If you've heard of him, he has a boot camp type of thing in Scotland where you go there and you learn acquisitions. He had a deal one time where he challenged his students. Back then, his 10-day boot camp thing, or so many days long, I forget what it is. It's 8 days or 10 days. And he challenged his students to a free course entry, which was with $12,000, in advance that you pay for this. He challenged them to go get a picture. It was either sitting in a Rolls Royce at a Rolls Royce dealer or taking it for a test drive. Either one. You just had to have a picture of you sitting in the car. And he challenged his students, or the people that were prospects, to come to his boot camp thing. I'll give away one free entrance. I need a bunch of people to send me in their pictures. Only one person went to the Rolls Royce dealer, sat in the car, and took the picture. And Dan was proving a point. If you aren't willing to go in here, for instance, in your new car, this is already the battle. How do I get into the fourth dimension? We just described it a few minutes ago. Close your peepers, take a couple of deep breaths. Now you're there. You're literally there right now. If these are closed, you're there that fast. Now, are you willing to do this exercise? Meditate. Do it before you fall asleep. Hold the tennis ball, hold the spoon. If you're willing to do that, you'll see results. And if you drift, bring it back. If you drift, bring it back all the time. Start again. But Dan challenged his students not only to imagine that they are in that Rolls Royce, but to go to the dealer and take a picture and send it to him. One person out of hundreds did it. If you're willing to do it here, there should be no problem going to the dealer and sitting in that car. I'm using the car example because it's a great example. It's a great accomplishment. If you're willing to go to the dealer and sit in and take it for a test drive, they don't hold you to buying it just because you go drive it, or just because you want to sit in it, a Rolls Royce, take a picture. They don't. You're not guilty and going to jail. There's actually nothing wrong with it. It's actually what they expect you to do, so they'll assume that you're going to come back and buy the thing, which is what you're going to do because you're now creating that abundant life. They want you to do that. They literally want you to be a prospect of theirs. That's how it starts. You go in, you touch it, you feel it, smell it, drive it. That's what the whole test drive's about. It's to feel it real. They know if they let you drive the car, it's been forever, it's always been like this, that you'll feel the experience. Once you feel the experience, you're like, oh man, I like this. Here's half my paycheck. Whatever it takes, I want this experience. That test drive is exactly what you're doing in the fourth dimension. You're doing the same thing. You're taking it for a drive. I'm assuming all of us have test drive one thing or another. We've all at least bought a used car from a friend or a family or whatever, and we've driven it to get a feel for it. All of us have. That's exactly what you're doing in 3D, but we're doing it in 4D because we're creating this specific model. We're creating a specific experience, a new experience versus my existing. We're doing this consciously. The reason we're talking today is we're learning how to consciously construct this with conscious awareness. We close our eyes to block the 3D, but we're now inside the 4D. But we're conscious that we're doing this. I'm conscious when I say close my eye. I close my eyes. I'm conscious of it. So now that my eyes are closed, I know the technique that Neville describes a million times is fourth dimensional walking as if. Embodiment is fourth dimensional. I have to do it on the inside for it to be reflected on the outside. Neville tells us this over and over. So we know the technique. We just have to apply the technique. I always say start small. I'm using a car, which could be a big thing to you or not a big thing to you. You could have a fleet of cars in your driveway already. I don't know. You must start with things that are reasonable to you. That then you see the success and you go, oh, that worked? Parking space? What? My friend buying me lunch? What? Free coffee, free meals? What? Free vacations? What? You build this skill set because you become, excuse me, consciously aware of doing it, which is what we're talking about. Beautiful beloved, Dan Pena is incredible. He is. He's from East Los Angeles, if you can believe it. He was a cholo at one time. He has a picture of himself in a flannel, buttoned all the way to the top. And the house he lived in, because he visited it one time, I saw that video. The house has been torn down, is long gone, but he's from East LA, East Los, as it's called around here. I was in a band with a bunch of guys from East Los, and we used to practice in East Los. It was a punk rock band, very cool band. We called it Fender's Ballroom, and it was a play on the words of a venue that used to be in Long Beach on First and Linden, and all the bands played there in the late 80s, early 90s. And we played as a punk band those songs. They were East Los guys. Cool group of guys. Prasoon, good to see you. Good morning. Hi, Gilbert. Could you please state the difference between emotions and feelings? Neville said feelings is the secret, not emotions. However, people like Joe Dispenza say it's emotions. I say it's the same thing. Seth, the great teacher, as I talk about all the time, because I'm so versed in his understanding his works, says you create your reality by your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Okay, so thoughts is mental. Beliefs, as I talk about creating the belief about the four-way stop sign, and then emotions is feeling. So Seth described it as thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. To me, emotions equate feelings. Now, part of the reason I say that is because part of my background is all of the studying of symbols. As I learned the tarot deck from my teacher, I had to study symbols first before I got into the deck. The tarot deck, if you're not aware, it's an entertainment game of cards that have pictures. Those pictures have symbols on them in the form of objects. It could be coins, it could be triangles, it could be water. All these are symbols. Water, as I want to get to, is a symbol for feeling. Water is also a symbol for emotion. So feeling and emotions they're right next to each other. In my opinion, you could equate them as equal to each other. The feeling, the emotion. One way you could say it to keep them separate is I feel this way about driving the car. Now, emotion, a lot of times we rush to the idea of either extreme happy, laughing, or extreme sad, crying. Now, if I'm in my new car going down the street, I feel pretty good. I'm happy. That's an emotion, but I had to feel it. So you can see how close they are. Hopefully that makes sense, Prasoon. Nathan James, when you do sats, does your visualization have to be the last thing you do before you go to sleep, or can you have other thoughts be the last thing you do? Because it is hard for me to sleep. It's the way Neville describes it is you want it to be an overlapping effect as you drift into that thing called sleep and where you're gone. You want the sats experience to overlap into it. So it's like you're carrying it into. So we're using the car example today, Nathan, and it is if I'm using the car in my sats, driving the car, then I want that to be the last thing as I drift. I don't fall asleep because I dropped the spoon. Then I come back to the beginning of the driveway, then I'm going. I made it to the end of the block this time. I still got my spoon, it's all balanced. Then I go back to the driveway. As Neville says, you repeat. Neville's intent in instructing us on that is that's how we take the 3D back into the 4D as we fall to sleep. So the overlapping effect into sleep is where the glory happens, is where the bounty of this whole thing comes about. The effect happens faster. You can have other thoughts, of course. You don't even have to do it while you sleep. You can do it just closing your eyes. So there's that too, which I've been describing today as well. Beautiful beloved. Yep, very interesting life story. Yes, it is. Let's see here. That's Dan. I'm sure you're referring to Dan Pena. Boy, oh boy, what a man. What a man. I like that he used to coach his students when they graduated. He would talk to them on the phone every week. He doesn't do that anymore. He got so busy, he doesn't even do that anymore. But I liked when he did that. I almost joined that whole concept, but it wasn't my bag. Nathan Beck. Nathan James, and it's hard for me to fall asleep unless I clear my mind. Well, that's good. Do your sats. I mean, you are you. You are unique, and you know what makes you go to work. I mean, go to sleep. Especially when you said it's hard for you to sleep. So if you know you can get some sats time in, then you do another routine that you're going to be able to drift into sleep. Great. I mean, you got to be uniquely you too. None of this is meant to be a rule. It's meant to be a guide. That's all I am. In fact, I really believe, I'm going to share this with you because I believe you're the hero of this story. I am the guide in this story, which I always felt my teacher to be, in my experience, was my guide. And she selflessly gave to me thousands upon thousands of hours of conversation. It seemed like we were the only two people in the world talking about the subject of Seth or numerology, all of these things. We were just at this top of this mountain constantly. So, but in hindsight, I felt like she was the greatest guide I've ever had. And I've had great guides in my life, teachers, but she was a guide, and I feel that way here. So you are the hero of your journey. So you can use your method, clear your mind, fall to sleep, bam. Great. Use what I'm offering to help, not to be the rule. I don't like rules. I don't like gates and boundaries. It's all spontaneously erupting out of you. Abraham Isamu, if I'm messing up your name, let me know. Isamu, Abraham, lovely name, Abraham. Thank you. You're welcome. So this is a snapshot of how we apply it to the fourth dimension. Sats is how we get it in there. Falling asleep, as Neville said, was the fastest way to embed it, and then you see the effect of it quick because the 3D is a sounding. It's like an echo. So you get it in there fast through sats, or you do it in meditation whenever you close your eyes. That's how you're visualizing it. The one thing that we want to, here's a good practice. If anybody hasn't climbed a ladder yet in your practice of this work, beautiful beloved, you are really easy to listen to and understand. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the compliment. If you haven't learned to climb, if you haven't taken into sats yet, climbing a ladder, and then sooner or later in your 3D reality climbing that ladder, it's one of the greatest places to start. And it works like this, as Neville instructed to Elmer O'Locker Jr., the grandfather of the guy running the channel now. The grandfather said that Neville instructed them to write down 7 or 10 places on paper, put it in your wallet, put it here, put it there. I will not climb a ladder on pieces of 3x5. I will not climb a ladder. I will not climb a ladder. When I first saw that video, the day I saw the video, I literally, at 5 a.m., I saw the video. I put it on a Post-it, put it in my wallet, I put it on my computer screen, and I put it somewhere else on a Post-it. At 9 a.m., and I wasn't working on ladders, I had to go instruct an employee of mine what to do. I found myself on this vertical ladder, and I was pointing at this repair work I needed done, and I was on that ladder. It was 9 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock when I saw the video. At 5 o'clock when I wrote the Post-its. At 9 o'clock, I'm standing on a ladder. I knew I found something that was the thing I was missing. Everything changed at that moment. So what Neville told his students, and he wanted to create testimonials for his book, The Law and the Promise. So he created a format where he instructed these people, I want you to learn to climb a ladder by denying in your 3D world, deny, deny, deny. I will not climb a ladder. I will not climb a ladder. Write it down everywhere. You must write it down and put it everywhere. I'm repeating what Elmer O'Locker said in his video. Those of you that do climb a ladder, I want you to do this for 3 nights. Deny that you're climbing a ladder on paper, but as you fall to sleep, I'm trying to paraphrase here. As you fall asleep, imagine your hand hitting that rung and your foot going up on it, and your other hand and your other foot, and you're climbing the ladder. Imagine as you fall to sleep of climbing a ladder. Well, Elmer O'Locker Jr., he did it for 3 nights. I think on the 3rd day or 4th day, Elmer O'Locker Jr. lived in Downey, which is right down the street from me, basically. His grandfather, no, it was his father. So that would be Elmer O'Locker. Called him. No, his mom wanted to speak to him. So his mom called him from Santa Monica, where they lived. They lived in Santa Monica. Well, Elmer O'Locker Jr. did not have a car at the moment. He got on the bus and went to Santa Monica. I gleaned all this from watching those 2 videos and then watching other videos of the grandson David's channel. So all this came together, and in other places. He got on the bus, went to his father's house, arrives at the house. His mom wants to talk to him. His dad's on the roof and says, "Son, hand me that bucket of paint." He grabs the paint. He's up on the roof. He's painting something. He's halfway up the ladder, and he goes, "Oh, shit, I'm on a ladder." Well, it worked. He found himself on a ladder after 3 nights of imagining climbing this ladder. That blew his mind, like I'm saying it blew my mind. Neville Goddard said, if you climb a ladder, come back Sunday night, we're going to have extra instructions. And it was in those extra instructions where Neville was giving him, he said to them first, he said, if you climb the ladder, all of you, you could have easily have manifested $1 million. And that was like, and for Elmer O'Locker Jr., the grandfather, he's like, that's it, I'm in. And he started learning from Neville how to create with his imagination, with sets, with all these techniques. One of the first things that happened, according to the grandfather, Elmer O'Locker Jr., he went into one of the first experiences. I think they put blankets over their heads, and then he went into an out-of-body, a spontaneous out-of-body. He went into the clock on the wall. Consciousness went into the clock. Then he was the clock. Then his consciousness went and became the whole city of LA. Now, I've had many out-of-bodies. This is how it works. Your consciousness goes into things. The first thing that Jane Roberts had, the person that dictated Seth in all the Seth books, she went into a nail on the windowsill. Her first spontaneous out-of-body. My first one, I was surfing a wave. Full consciousness. I've had many others. I'd like to throw them in here, but we don't have the time. But the point is, the instruction of the ladder exercise is the beginning of realizing this does work. If I write down, I will not climb a ladder, yet I pretend in my falling asleep, I'm in sats, and then it happens in my reality within days. For me, it was within hours. You now hit on something. You must repeat the exercise. If you wrote down, I will not, you don't have to say, I will not have $1 million or I will not have a new car. You don't even have to go there. You can skip that part now. Now you can come back to how did the Elmer O'Locker Jr. actually do it? He imagined while he was falling asleep, climbing the ladder. You imagine while you're falling asleep, driving that car, walking across the threshold from your honeymoon. All of these pieces all matter. They all make up the difference. Let's see here. Beautiful, beloved, you are really easy. Okay, we got that. Abraham, wow, incredible. Thank you very much. So the idea here, pray soon again. Hi, Gilbert, if you don't mind, could you please share some of the things that you have personally manifested, your own testimonials? Well, I'm going to make a video on my experiences, but just to say real quick, let me say real quick where I am, and then I'll give some commercial of where I've been. Right now, I'm in our home, my wife and I's home. Right now, this last August, a month ago, 2 weeks ago, was our 26th wedding anniversary. And we've had our own business. We've created a construction company. We ran that for 13 years. Had some amazing experiences with that. That experience helped buy the home. That experience helped do all kinds of travel. We've traveled a lot. We love it. We travel a lot for the business. A lot of the happiness I'm experiencing today had a very not easy beginning. So the result where I am sitting talking to you, and what I want to share is how I've been putting Neville forward first, but I'm about to start weaving in my own experience, like you described there in that question, because it obviously is relevant. But my beginnings were not easy. What bridge did I cross to imagine even being married? One of my favorite stories is because to me, love is the most important thing. I believe love is priority in manifesting. Love is priority. Love is top. Love should be first, in my opinion, about what you're trying to manifest for yourself. Love should be first. Everything comes after it. Everything gets easier after it, because that's why you're here. The ultimate question you're going to be asked is what's the most important thing in the world? And you're going to say faith, hope, and love. And then you're going to boil it down and go, wait a minute, the most important thing actually is love. And then that's when you are embraced. That's when this whole thing reaches a high point. I gave a commercial yesterday about a movie called Time Stalker. It's very good. It came out this year or last year. It's a very interesting reincarnational themed movie. Worth a watch, worth a look. I think I watched it on Prime. So, to be married 26 years, this is good. I'm giving you my example of my own experience, means you have to be in a relationship. Well, to be in a relationship, usually you want to be in that with somebody you love. Okay, so what is it for me? My relationship is with me and my wife, and she's of the opposite sex, obviously, to me. But before I got into the relationship and before we started, and I had a challenge that I met with my teacher when I first started being consulted with my teacher in 1991. My wife and I became a couple in 1997, but we already knew each other for 3 years, at least before that. But before I even met her and became friends, through friends, we have the similar friends, I had to start redefining things within me to be able to become the kind of a material, to become relationship material. I had to change some things that my teacher made me aware of, that I'm trying to bring to the surface here in this whole teaching too. That there sometimes has to be a place where you actually start. For me, the concept began when my teacher said, answer this question for me. And she said, all women are, and I says, ooh, I can't say what I'm thinking right now. I had to be respectful of the situation, but I did not have pretty things. It took some effort. And with my teacher's consulting, I was able to change mine. Loving, caring, nurturing. All women are loving, caring, nurturing. And as we're talking about with SATs, as we're talking about with creating a belief by repeating it and expecting it, I went through some relationships and they would crash. I would still believe all women are loving, caring, nurturing. I get into another relationship, bam, crash. Okay, all women are loving, caring, nurturing. I had to go and test my own beliefs, hit the wall, crash again, hit the wall, crash again, hit the wall, and it's getting close, and then I finally move in with somebody, crash, boom. Then, right after that one experience, then my current wife, who was my friend at the time, then I found myself in San Diego where she was living at the time. Then we just hit it off. It's like a magnet. This was the night that Mike Tyson bit somebody's ear off, Holyfield. It was that night is when we hit it off. And at the same time, we start dating, and then all of a sudden we have a business opportunity for me to start a business in Seattle. I asked her, do you want to go with me? I'm going to start a business. We're going to move out of here. We're going to move up there. She said yes. And before you know it, we're going through all these adventures. And there's a lot of things I'd like to throw into the mix here. But the beginning, the genesis, was when I made a change here. And I made a new belief. All women are loving, caring, nurturing. Only when I changed my belief about the opposite sex, which is what I was after, did I then start to create a harmonious getting together with them. And then even though I was trying and crashing, I was still able to finally bring that to a place where there was harmony. And it isn't like that became 26 years. This is a high maintenance lifestyle. For any of you that are single, don't be confused. If you want to be married, it is definitely a high maintenance lifestyle. You must change your opinion, your ideas, your beliefs about the person you want to be married to. The person you want to be married to is a man, then you say all men are. The person you want to be married to is a woman, all women are. This is the beginning of change. As Neville says, you're changing that fourth dimensional image. I changed it through a belief that then got me able to be in a relationship. So I hope that fits the example you asked about. To me, that's one of the highest priorities. Love is the highest, always has been for me personally. When did you first come across Prasoon? Neville's teaching, and how did you first react to it? Did you believe everything immediately, or were you skeptical of his teachings initially? Well, I don't know if you're watching the channel, Prasoon, but the beginning videos, I do describe a lot of that. But in a nutshell, I discovered Neville on the January 1st of 2022, but I had already been that at that point. I was 2 years of practicing Ho'oponopono, which is love and gratitude. So I was practicing that and seeing the effects of it were mind-blowing. I did 2 years of Ho'oponopono. After 28 years or so, 25 years with my teacher of all these metaphysical subjects, then it was always Seth material was the backbone, what we would study together, my teacher and myself. So it was always you create your own reality. That's how I created a relationship. That's how I created the business. It was all about you create your own reality, constantly moving, constantly part of the process. Then that brought me forward. When I arrived at Neville, I'm already at this point, what is it? What year? 2022. I'm already 31 years in working in metaphysics. That year 30 and 31 was Ho'oponopono. But the 29 years, the first 25 of which was with my teacher with the Seth material and all these other metaphysical studies. Year 25 to 29 was basically on my own, doing different things, but with my teacher, a lot of meetups, a lot of teaching the Seth material. We do psychic fairs all the time, every month. Then every week we were teaching. We're teaching at Learning Light Foundation. So I've been in this work so long, I forget and I take for granted how a lot of the things I created came together. But part of my reason for the channel is to help share that process with those who do want to make the change for the better in their own life. So to me, it's a very wonderful form of giving back, so to say, which is what we should always be doing, especially if you have young people in your life. They want to see you succeed so they can see how did you do it. And so that's what we're talking about. So 4D, we're coming up on the hour. I appreciate the questions and I appreciate everybody being here. Let me make sure I covered all my talking points. I put some notes together. We talked about climbing the ladder. Try it. You'll be climbing it before you know it. One thing I did not touch on, which I do want to touch on, is the how part. You want to detox your attitude of how. Don't have that attitude. You never need to be concerned about how, ever. It's not your job to be concerned about how. It's your job to imagine what you want to experience and then experience it in imagination. The how will take care of itself. Let's see. Sabbath. Sabbath is when you're done. Sabbath is when it feels natural. It's done. The homework, I would say, is to walk as if. So you want to take whatever you're imagining, if it's the car or if it's being married or whatever it is. So today, do it after this video or do it at your nap time or do it as you're falling asleep. Whatever you're going to take as your thing next, I say start small. Grab something, do it, and then just in your sleeping, imagine yourself walking as if you're already it, and then you hear your best friend saying to you, "Wow, look at you, congratulations. I'm so happy for you that you are now," and then you fill in that blank. That blank is for you to fill in. What the key lines are: make elsewhere here, make the future now. When you imagine your friend saying congratulations to you, you're making that future now. That's fourth dimension where you're doing that. I like this line. Attention minus effort is how the future bends. What you give your attention to is what you become. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. Thank you for stopping by. We covered a lot in 1 hour. I really can't even believe it. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about tomorrow we're going to be talking about no one to change but self. That will be Thursday. That's our day 4 of our 5 lessons. Who do men say that I am? No one to change but self is going to be tomorrow's subject. We're going to go through that over a 1 hour. Pray soon. Last comment. I found out about manifestation through The Secret, and then I found out about Neville and ordered most of his books and totally went deep into it, and I haven't seen a lot of changes. I am so grateful. Keep at it. Persist. Tariq, thank you, Gilbert. Tariq, you're welcome, and thank you guys for stopping by, and we will look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. All right, have a good one. See you soon.